Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Looking for more from Boise State Public Radio? Follow us on Instagram. You'll find behind-the-scenes peeks at our station, quick updates on the stories shaping Idaho, and reels that bring our reporting to life. It's a new way to connect with the music, news, and voices you hear every day on the air. Search for Boise State Public Radio on Instagram and join our community.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Idaho farmers are getting older. In fact, the average age of someone working the land here in the Gem State is 56 years old. And more than 5,000 farms here in the state are run by someone over the age of 75 years old. Today, we're looking at younger farmers as part of our Land and Legacy Farming in Idaho series, where we're exploring how Idaho lost more than 2,000 farms just in a 5-year period and the impact that that's had on our state. So joining us today are John Dyer. He is a fourth-generation Idaho farmer, along with Diane Gooding and Ryan Bumstead. Both are younger farmers. I want to welcome all three of you to the show today.
Thank you.
And John, let me start the conversation with you. As I mentioned, you are a fourth-generation Idaho farmer. Can you tell us where you farm, what kind of farming you do?
Well, I farm north of the sugar factory on Middleton Road in Linden. We raise sugar beets, wheat, corn, and hay.
And John, as I mentioned, you're a fourth-generation farmer. Talk a little bit about that and how it has really been something that's been in your family for so long. What has that been like to carry this legacy?
Well, to me, it's been very, very important. I mean, it's a heritage to me. I mean, I grew up on the family farm. I've worked for the neighbors as I grew up. My dad he grew up in Melba, and then he was drafted and then come back to work for his uncle, and then worked for him for 40 years. And then I worked for him also, and then I moved away from the farm for 10 years and then come back. I just couldn't get it out of my blood. It was in my blood and I just couldn't shake it. I look out the window and that's all I see.
And Ryan, let me bring you into the conversation. What type of farming do you do, and where are you farming? And as I mentioned, you're newer to this.
Yep. So I farm actually out of Ontario, Oregon, and mostly grow just rotational row crops: corn, edible beans, teff, wheat, and then I'll sublease ground out for sugar beet and onion production out there as well.
Mm-hmm. And Diane, same question to you. Where do you farm, and what do you farm?
Yeah, my sisters and I actually run a 6th-generation hop farm. So we're located about 20 minutes west of Caldwell between Parma and Wilder, 4th-generation Idaho farmers. And we grow a variety of perennial and annual crops, rotational crops, onions, fresh packed produce. Obviously, hops are kind of our mainstay and really the anchor of our production model.
Mm-hmm. So, John, as a fourth generation farmer who's been doing this for as long as you have, what are some of the challenges that face these, farms that have been here for so long and farmers who are aging?
Well, our main problem today seems to be the growth of the valley. We have more traffic, more people. We have people encroaching on our farms. We have people trespassing. It mainly the traffic, I guess. Mm-hmm. People not knowing what we're doing. They come out and they get in our ways. They don't understand what we do.
So, John, you said, you're out by the sugar beet factory, and I'm pretty darn familiar with that area. 20 some years ago, there was a little TV station over in that area that I anchored the news on. And let me tell you, there was nothing out there. except for I think there was a Denny's, there was the TV station, there's a Shell gas station, and there was a sugar beet factory, and it was all farmland. And
Yes.
that's not the case anymore. So talk to me too about that and about how if people are newer to the Treasure Valley, and I'm talking even like 10 years, 15 years, is there maybe like a lack of understanding of how agricultural this part of the valley was and frankly still is?
Oh, I mean, they don't get it, and they're not educated to understand what goes on and how we've done it and how we've lived out there. I mean, they've just shoved subdivisions out there, and people are coming so fast they don't take the time to understand or know what we're doing.
Mm.
I mean,
And
it used to
Diane,
be my closest neighbor was a quarter of a mile.
oh, and that's not the case anymore, is it?
No, a matter of fact, I have a subdivision right out my back door, and I'll have apartments next to my fuel tanks here within 6 months.
Oh my goodness. So Ryan and Diane, let me start with you. Same question. What are the challenges that you face? Now, Diane, you said you are, fourth generation farmer, but you're a younger farmer. So are there new challenges that face this younger generation of farmers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything that John lined out there, and on the west side of Canyon County, we're less impacted currently compared to that Nampa sugar beet factory area, but it's certainly coming. And as farmers get pushed out of that area, they're heading west as well. So not only are we seeing impact from development, but also fellow farmers and colleagues that are getting forced out from the east side. So that's certainly one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of bright spots in agriculture at the moment from a commodity market standpoint. Corn, wheat. Obviously, we don't grow soybeans here, but nationwide, you're seeing some of the most depressive pricing that we've seen. Onions, sugar's low. The hot market is just a mess. So there's that side of it too, the fiscal side of it, and then you couple that with challenges with higher interest rates and banking and financing. It's kind of it's all pretty much right now kind of a perfect storm in the challenges of operating and maintaining a business in the agricultural sector.
So Diane, what does that got to feel like? The weight of that. I mean, here you are trying to maintain not just a living, but really a legacy of agriculture here in a state that really has relied on agriculture, has relied on farming for generations.
I mean, it bears its weight, but as farmers always say, there's always next year. Well, there is until
Mm,
there's not, right? So we
yeah.
just are trying to create efficiencies, and we work with other, our neighbors and colleagues to maybe share some equipment or implements and try to keep that bottom line as tight as we can. And it's not just the weight of the legacy, but our farm, we support 30 to 50 families at any given time that are working for us, whether that be during hop harvest or produce harvest or stringing the hops in the springtime. It's a really labor intensive commodity. So, the challenges are wide and vast, but we're optimistic that our quality, our food safety strategies, and our marketing will stand on its own and hopefully help get us through to the next hopefully boomer market or just more stable fiscal policy in general in the sector.
And Ryan, as you mentioned, you farm out in the Ontario, Oregon area. So are you seeing similar challenges with growth or what challenges are you facing?
I think it's not as bad out in that part of the world for the growth, just because the state of Oregon kind of has laws that protect farmland for development, and they call it land of statewide importance for agriculture. And so I think that might have some effect on it, but in terms of the markets and prices, input costs, fuel costs, labor costs, everything is just at all-time record highs with the lowest corn wheat prices that we've seen in the past 10, 15 years. And so I think that's the biggest challenge. And I think in my case, like since I'm a first generation farmer, just the access to land to farm, the access to capital, and you got to get really creative on how to make the numbers work to be able to keep going year after year.
Mhm. John, how has, as both Diane and Ryan mentioned, with the state of the economy right now, how has that impacted your farming operation?
Oh, it's impacted it as much as anybody else. I mean, we've had to get just as creative. I mean, when I was a kid, back a long time ago, you could get fertilizer for a heck of a lot less than you pay now. I mean,
Mm.
what are we, $600-$800 a ton for fertilizer now? Back then, you could get it for 80. Roundup was 10, $20. Now it's hundreds of dollars a gallon. $40, $50. Everything's doubled, tripled, quadrupled. So we
Mm.
have to get creative.
Well, and
Watch
with
man
that said,
hours.
John,
What's that?
you, I was going to say it, but and John, at the same time, I mean, there is a necessity and a need for what all three of you do, right? I mean, without farming, there is not food.
Yes, we understand that, but did the public understand it? I mean, and they're
Right.
the way a lot of them think, they just go down to the store and get the food. The food's just there. Most of the public do not understand where their food comes from. I mean, there are people in New York that truly believe that their food comes from a store. They're mortified when they find out beef actually comes from a cow, milk comes from a cow.
Yeah, you just have to grow up in the West to understand that, right? Or near agriculture. So Ryan, you had mentioned before the break access to land. What does access to land look like for your generation of farmers? As you mentioned, you are a first generation farmer, so you didn't necessarily have land that was taken from generation to generation to farm.
Yeah, I mean, I had to get creative on the way to get to the land that I farm, and um, essentially what I had to do is get a farmland investment group involved, where I found some ground for sale and then went to them with a proposal for lease terms, lease rates, and then it turned into they essentially purchased the land for me and then leased it to me on a 3 to 5 year lease for a cash rent basis. And I really don't know, other than like that was a creative way that worked for me. It might not
Mm-hmm.
work for other people, but I think a lot of these, with just given like the age of farmers and stuff, it's if people are interested in farming and want to get involved in production agriculture, it's I think takes a lot of luck and knowing the right people, and not necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
Mm. So, John, as I mentioned, you're a fourth generation farmer. What is your plan of succession?
Well, I'm hoping to make it to 60, and other than that, I don't have any more. I don't have any kids to take it over. I mean, and the land, the ground I'm farming is all leased. I don't own any of the ground I farm. My second cousin owns 300 of the 900 I'm farming now. The rest of it's all leased from developers.
So, John, I've been told that your farm is on some of the best soil in the valley. So, when you decide to retire and you have this land that is leased, I mean, what will likely happen to this land?
Well, it'll be put into subdivisions more than likely. It'll be it's I mean, we as farmers, we've developed the ground into some of the best ground in the valley. I mean, it grows some of the best crops in this area up where we're farming, but they'll take it, they'll strip it down, they'll put houses on it.
Mm. Diane, again, I mean, you are part of a fourth generation farming family. I know that you're a younger farmer. Um, have you thought about succession at all yet, or are you so new into this as a younger farmer that it's not part of the plan at this point?
Dad's still semi-involved, but mostly retired. So we checked that box on the succession plan. I came back to the farm in 2010, so I've been at it for a little bit here, and we're really focused on being a part of our community right now too. We have a small produce stand near our farm and a little beer and wine bar, and we have community events. We support FFA, so that's kind of part of it too for us is not just, what's 30 years, but what's 5 years and how can we be helpful and impactful in our production model as well as that educational piece. Maybe seeing if, there's some high school kids that want to intern for us and we've have an internship program. So succession can come in a number of sort of ways and my two younger sisters both have kids and we're optimistic, but they're 1.7 and 3. So the jury's still out a little bit on if they're going to have interest. But, the more we can be involved and support our community, then, that helps bring awareness not only to our farm, but to agricultural in general. And we are ag communities, but that doesn't mean that they don't bring their friends from town or we host groups from Nampa, Caldwell, Boise, what have you. There's always opportunity in that. So we kind of look at that as our maybe not succession plan, but a way that we can help with the future.
Well, and it sounds like, Diane, that you've made some choices that are maybe not traditional farming, right? I mean, you mentioned your produce stand, but your wine and beer as well. I mean, is that also, realizing that when you do look at the next 5 years, as you said, how do you integrate what you do also with where you live, with the community, as the community, grows up around you literally?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of a self-supporting system, right? So we have wineries and breweries we work with directly on the farm, and we use Red Top Market as a vehicle to support not only, our local community, but the whole Treasure Valley at large and also our customer base on the hop side. If we can't support each other, then who, you got to kind of start at home. So we really look at that as an opportunity to kind of put our money where our mouth is. And, one of our responses to COVID was we started growing real food, and we have a fresh pack produce program now, which there's a lot of food safety stuff that comes along with that is really challenging, but we felt that it was an opportunity to really bring the whole thing full circle and not just grow basic commodity crops, but also food for that we can sell into the community, or we support the local food banks and so on.
Mm-hmm. And Diane, I know we talked a little bit about the challenges facing younger farmers. Is part of that really having to pivot in some ways, as it sounds like you and your sisters have?
Well, farmers are a resilient breed, regardless of the crops or the situation. I think it is a mentality, and John kind of said something about it being in your blood, and that really that rings true, especially on the hop farm. It's kind of a boom and bust cycle, and we're in a buster right now, but it is in your blood, and being resilient, you just can't give up because it gets hard, and that's you just got to keep on, and one door closes, and you just go in through the window.
Oh, Ryan, you mentioned how your farm is set up with basically how you are leasing this land, and it's 3 to 5 years. Is it difficult as a first generation farmer where you don't own this land to even start to, I mean, not only think of a succession plan 15, 20 years down the line, but can you sustain this for the next 3 to 5 years?
And I think it's I mean, I look back because this is my 5th crop year that I've had, and I think I look back to even 2-3 years ago and just where prices were, and like you could make things pencil and everything could work out just on the crop side of it. But I think it's kind of what John and Diane have said about being resilient, and one door closes and you find something else to do. And I think kind of what I've had to pivot to is to start doing a lot of custom work for other farmers in terms of tillage work, combining, trucking. It's just kind of another way to help achieve like the income to offset the expenses with your equipment costs and everything that's tied to the farm.
Hmm. John, as you mentioned, I mean, you have a subdivision literally right out your back door. You're going to have apartments next to you in about 6 months, and yet you have some of the best soil, as we said, in the valley, um, and there is no one to succeed you. So as you mentioned, the likelihood is that this land, when you retire, will be subdivided. Are there
Correct.
other solutions that are there other solutions that you see potentially besides just, literally plowing over this land and putting homes on there?
Well, I mean, if the city of Nampa and the city of Caldwell would actually protect the agriculture in their communities, I think you could see a future for farming. But the city of Nampa and the city of Caldwell made it pretty clear they don't want agriculture in their impact areas. I mean, they're pushing development so fast that the agriculture has no choice but to leave. I mean, the city of Caldwell and the city of Nampa, they say they embrace agriculture, but if they embrace agriculture as much as they claim they do, why do they push the subdivisions and the growth so hard on perfectly good farm ground instead of protecting it? That part is, we look at every day. I mean, you're seeing subdivisions pop up almost every single day, and they go out. The city of Caldwell and city of Nampa are expanding from the outside in instead of the inside out. They're eating up perfectly good farm ground because they claim it improves their tax base. And I have yet to figure out how that works.
John, what is your ultimate, concern? Let's say 10, 20 years from now, if some of this land isn't preserved for farming, whether you're farming it or not, is there a potential domino effect that maybe we can't recognize yet?
If things don't slow down and get to a slower pace, you're not going to see agriculture in this community at all, except maybe gardens and some small little family, like 1 acre spots. But other than that, any kind of major agriculture is going to be gone in this area if the city of Caldwell and the city of Nampa don't slow down.
Well, I want to thank all of you so much for your time today. It has been a really interesting conversation. I appreciate all of your perspectives and opinions, and I hope all of our listeners are learning more about agriculture here in our valley and in our state, and the challenges that face all of you. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. We've been talking with John Dyer, a fourth-generation Idaho farmer, Diane Gooding, and Ryan Bumstead. Both are younger farmers here in the area as well. You've been listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Gemma Gaudet.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.